Good evening, Cubans of the Cash. Gary B, the casual comic guy here, and joining me again because I've been just stealing him every week. It seems. Fable himself, Station Fable. How you doing, sir?
What is going on, everybody?
I'm not mad though. It's great. It's great having Fable on the channel.
Yes,
and of course back for what, the second week in a row. We got none other than Big Herm, who had a great episode of the 1011. In case you guys don't know, this is all about him. And Fable and I are going to be asking him questions and letting him talk and finding out about this dude. All right. So it was my pleasure to get to meet him for the first time, actually, on the 1011. So I've really been looking forward to this because I had such a blast with you on that show. It was great.
Oh, yeah. I had a lot of fun. I was very nervous and I was like getting all the issues wrong. And it took me like over an hour to get ready for the show. And it turned out to be great. So I thank you for having me. I really enjoyed you guys, man.
Oh, thanks. We appreciate it. And of course, we'll start out. We may have a few other people join us along the way. But Herm, give the quick 2 minutes of who you are. We'll say hi to the chat. And then Fable and I will start asking you some hard-hitting questions.
Well, I'm Big Herm from Big Herm Collectibles, the YouTube channel. I like, of course, comic books. It's what I like, what we all like, what got us into this whole YouTube thing. So yeah, I usually have a show with my man Primetime Tom. That's why I always have the little sayings down there. Try to change it up with my man Primetime Tom, which I think I forgot to send him the link for this. So I don't even know if he's gonna show up. But
are you saying that he is not subbed to my channel? No, just
he might be. I don't know. I can't control the guy. He's just my partner. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't blame him if he wasn't. Don't worry.
So yeah, we do a show. We do Big Herm the Big Herm show with Primetime Tom as we go over a lot of the Amazing Spider-Man run. Right now we're going through painfully the Zeb Well run, as people would say. You know what I mean? And we having a ball. You know what I mean? We just keep that ball rolling. We've been on hiatus, but in October we will return. So that's the only ongoing show I have going on right now. So yeah, that's pretty much me. I do more than that. We're a pop culture, you know, that's why Pop Culture Philosophers is on Fable's background there, the Bad Batch. I'm part of that Bad Batch. One of the troublemakers back there, you know. And yeah, and I'm horrible at talking about myself, but so when you're like, you would think I have enough time, enough shows, I've done enough shows to be able to talk about myself, and I'm just like, yeah, that's me. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah, I know. Well, yeah, that's always the awkward part, right?
Yeah. But you guys know I'm into all kind of pop culture stuff, movies, video games, sports. You know what I'm saying? I might get some people angry tonight. You know what I mean? Because it's the big Patriot Jet game going on a little bit later. So you know.
Oh. No, I know. You said you're. I think we discussed like they got you into horror, right?
I like horror. I love horror.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you see the new Funko Pop of RJ McCready from The Thing?
Oh, I did not.
That came out this week.
Oh, that's fire.
Yeah, nice. Dude, this box is amazing too.
Yeah, I love those boxes, man.
I just told my comic shop because I'm not a big pop guy, but they have the spider.
You gotta make yourself bigger, Gary. I gotta see this.
Yeah, you do, man. I'm here like, I want to see.
You got the RJ McCready.
Sweet.
And
he's got a flamethrower too.
Got the flamethrower right there.
Nice.
But they also have the spider head and the Blair monster, which I gotta find.
Oh.
Wow. Man, just when you think they don't make enough of those, they always surprise you with more awesome stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
That looks fire, man.
I have that, and I have the John Nada from They Live.
Oh, there you go.
You gotta have the Roddy Piper too.
Yeah, I wish I knew you were gonna show some horror stuff because I would have just brought out my Freddy. You know, I got Freddy. You know, I got Jason.
There's always horror stuff on my streams. My face is here. There's always something to scare somebody.
Real quick, can I show something at least? If
What?
you show something, now I feel left out. You know what I mean? I feel like I should have bought something
Of course you
to the table.
can.
But I was gonna do this at a party to throw your sets up in October for one of Fable's things, but right now I'll show it here. We went to the Spirit Halloween, that store that everybody talk about, when people make jokes about whenever you see a store go out of business, you're gonna see a Spirit Halloween is gonna be right in there next year, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I couldn't help it. I saw her, and she's one of my favorite characters growing up from the Addams family. I got me a Wednesday Addams exclusive from there.
Wow,
That's
So,
nice.
nice.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I saw it. I had to because the exclusives usually out of there, they get
They're missing an
sold out.
opportunity because they could make the thing. They just have a big hand pop. Oh, he just lost. Oh, he blanked out a second.
No, I'm twitching everywhere.
Right.
But
yeah, that's cool.
yeah, so
Now, are you a classic Addams Family guy, or are you a fan of the new movies?
Being a kid,
Or
when we didn't have all the streaming stuff, so we had no choice but to watch whatever was on TV. So I was a fan of the old school Addams Family, and I was a fan of the new movies and stuff. So, give me all of it.
That's one of those IPs that whoever's had it at the time has always done a good job with. Like nobody's actually ruined the Addams Family.
Nah, I think they take it so serious when they actually be able to play the character, especially Wednesday Addams. She's had so many awesome actresses.
I never watched that Netflix show either.
Ooh, you gotta watch it, man.
I do, but there was so many memes that I was just like, all right, I can't watch any. I can't like that dance was everywhere. I'm like, I can't watch anything else Wednesday right now.
Yeah, she was everywhere. She was, but Jenny Ortega killed it as her, man. So
yeah, she's a good actress.
Yeah. And then Christina.
Let's say hi to everybody. We got Las Cruces. Good evening, sir. We have Mr. John's Comics for Kid. Good evening. Nick from Comic Culture. Station Nick. We have Warren Smith. Good evening, Warren. Great to see you. Seth 11. Good evening. Perry Comics. How you doing? Thanks for coming in.
Perry.
I always do that when I hear Perry too. Perry. Phineas and Ferb has ruined that name for everybody. You just hear the song.
I do it all the time. He pops up, and at one time I asked him, "Do you really like it when I do that? Because I'll stop." He's like, "No, keep doing it." He just keeps laughing every time I do it.
You can't watch Phineas and Ferb and not hear Perry in your head every time you see the name.
Never. So now every time I see his name, it comes out. You know what I mean? I can't help it.
What are we gonna do today?
What are we gonna do?
All right, so we're gonna keep giving a tip of the hat. We've said hi to everyone. I don't know if you guys saw I had highlighted her. Maria's in here as well.
Station love, thank you.
And so let's start it out with some young Herm questions, right? Now, one of my favorite things to learn about people are the cartoons they grew up on. Because I knew what I grew up on. Cartoons were a big staple for me. And Arcade Pop, good evening, sir. Great to see you.
Asian.
But I loved cartoons growing up. I was one of the Saturday morning kids. I get up before everybody in the house. I get my bowl of cereal. I take the cereal, the bowl, and the gallon of milk in the living room. And I'd be all ready to watch. Oh, speaking of cartoons, Nick, how you doing, buddy?
Hey.
I know you guys just got done with the introductions, but Herminia Reyes Jr.
Awesome, bro. Thank you.
I know you just got better. I don't need you to get sick again, man.
I need to get that one championship and start doing the ring announcing.
I still feel it a little bit, but I missed Herm the first time. I didn't want to do it the second time, and it's a good night to grab him because in about an hour and a half we're gonna be whooping up on New England. So
let's go Jets, baby!
Right,
Gary. I don't know if you know this, Gary, but I mean the real New Yorkers cheer for the Jets. You know what I mean?
Well, that's okay. I'd rather. The Jets or Giants don't really make any difference to me.
When you're up there in fake New York,
Says the guy who moved to Texas, right? That's how much he loves it.
You and I are not much different, Gary. Let me tell you, from the five boroughs perspective, you're not much different.
No, not at all. And also being from New York, I don't blame you for moving away from it.
I always miss it. But this is Herm's show. Let's get to learn all about Herm.
It's all good. I'm having fun here. You guys are going. I'm here like this, sitting back, like watching the show right here.
So anyway, getting back to it, Herm. I always love to learn what people grew up watching with cartoons. Like I had my era. Nick and I are from the Saturday morning cartoons. And I think Fable's probably old enough. He was watching Saturday morning cartoons. The kids these days, they're spoiled. They have cartoons on 24/7. We had to actually plan when we could see them. What did you grow up watching? What was your favorite cartoons? What helped influence a young Herm into the collector he is today?
I mean, I have so many. There's so many cartoons from that era that's so awesome. You know what I mean?
Start with Strawberry Shortcake. We're not here to judge you.
No, it's My Little Pony. Come on. No. Oh man, yeah, but obviously everybody goes over the G.I. Joe and the Transformers. That's a given. I remember being a very little kid, and my cousin would always put it on for me because I was too young when those cartoons came out. You know what I mean? 80s baby, but I started gravitating after those two cartoons towards Thundercats. Thundercats. Oh, know that. Everybody loves Silverhawk. Everybody loves that. Of course, He-Man, He-Man. You know what I mean? I love all that.
We call him Fake Coney in here.
Fake Coney. Yeah. I remember that from last. So from there on, of course, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Right after that, so we had like awesome cartoons like that. Like I feel like I'm gonna leave some out. You know what I mean? But love that. And then Sundays, sometimes you would get these weird cartoons like Mr. Bogus. I don't know if you guys heard of Mr. Bogus on Sundays, but
no.
Mr. Bogus. Whoa,
yeah, I remember him.
Whoa, remember that?
Yeah.
It was a silly yellow cartoon guy. Like he looked creepy, but he was funny and stuff like that. So like real road warriors or real wheel warriors. Wheel warriors. With the little toys and stuff like that. It's just I could go on and on and on with morning cartoons, especially the early ones and stuff. And then of course, Spider-Man is Amazing Friends. I was really young for that, but I was watching the reruns. Spider-Man is Amazing Friends. Know that. So
I loved it. That was one of my favorites. I didn't miss it. And it's funny too, because when I think about cartoons, I always think that these cartoons had these epic runs, right? And like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, I just thought went on forever, and it was like 20 episodes or something like that.
2 years,
yeah.
Right. And then you see like cartoons had no structure to how long a season was, right? Like a season of one cartoon would be 13 episodes. A season of a different cartoon would be like 24. Then you had some cartoons that had 65 episode season ones. It's like, what's going on?
Well, they obviously they used them. They were really used to sell the toys back then. That's why they would make the cartoons. Like you will buy the toys, and you can't wait to watch the cartoon with your toy. You know what I mean? That's what's so cool about those times. Like I don't know if kids really do that these days, but it just kept going. You know what I mean? Of course, I have to mention Batman the animated series. That's like the best rendition to any comic book. And then of course, the Spider-Man one. The Spider-Man.
The 90s Spider-Man.
Yeah, the animated series, Spider-Man the animated series. So, those are all the early cartoons that I grew up with, and they made me who I am too. You know what I mean? Like next to comics. Go ahead.
I hope they give that Spider-Man one, the 90s Spider-Man. I hope they give that the X-Men 97 treatment. That way he can go save MJ, because that ended on a cliffhanger with MJ was missing, and
we all wanted
I'd like to see that continue.
Yeah, we all wanted to know what happened to MJ. Like, go get her. Go get her.
And that cartoon gave us a different Spider-Man, right? He was actually an adult. He had actually advanced. He had actually grown up. he was an adult, and it's not always the high school Peter Parker. That's why it's my favorite Spider-Man cartoon.
It's a John Romita Senior era kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It had the cool music too.
Yep. And then you had Stanley doing the voiceovers and.
Oh, great cartoon, man! Still one of my all-time. If it wasn't for Batman the Animated Series, that one would edge it. But Batman edges it just a little bit for me. But those two cartoons, it's like the top of the top right there, and And of course, I watched.
If we got like an Amalgam Universe cartoon combining with the Amalgam Universe characters, that would be cool.
That'd be awesome. Crossovers was my favorite.
Dark Claw and stuff like that.
Oh man, that'd be amazing.
So Nick and Fable, this is in the hot seat. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to jump right in. All right. So,
what was the first action figure you could remember having? Because I know you're into toys. Oh, I think we lost Herm.
You shut him down.
He'll be back.
You didn't want to talk about action figures.
What?
Talking about action figures, have you added any new to your collection lately, Nick?
No, I'm waiting on. I've been collecting a lot of the 6-scale Spidey figures from Hot Toys. For like the PS5 version. Like for me, that PS5 stuff.
Nice. The one with the white spider logo, right?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me make you big, Nick. Till we get Herm back in.
Oh wow! Look at
So
that.
this is from Spider-Man 2. These things fully articulate, and they have a fully venomized head. But I thought this one was cool.
That's amazing.
That is cool. That's a big figure too. Holy cow!
Yeah, they're all like a foot long. So I got Miles.
That's one of the best versions of Miles too, man. That video game Spider-Man. Yeah.
And it comes with little bodega cat in his backpack. Every now and again too, I'll
He's stealing your spotlight, Herm.
Go ahead, man. I don't know what the hell happened right there.
Marvel Legends comes out every now and again. So when it comes like a big bulky figure like this Abomination, I thought it was pretty accurate.
Yeah, cool. I would say, damn, that's a chunk of a figure.
I'll pick them up. So.
You can club a baby seal with that sucker.
But they get expensive. I'm not on DJ Lynx's budget, so I got to pick and choose my things. So they have a Venom figure from Hot Toys that's coming out soon. That's probably 1.5 feet tall. So that's the next one I got my eyes on.
You are a Venom guy?
Yeah, I just thought the figure was cool and went along with the other figures in the series. So
it's based on the video game too, like Bagley or any other. That's cool.
Yep.
Like I'd like to see like a Bagley one. I think would look nice because I'm a big fan of Mark Bagley.
Eric Larson, I thought would look good too.
I like Larson too.
So for me, that's Venom, yeah, I like those guys better than I do McFarlane in that case. So
this is right. Oh, all right. So I forgot what we were asking you too.
Fable was asking me a question.
Fable had a question for you. Your first action figure.
Yeah, I was saying I know you like collecting toys. I know you're a big toy guy like me. What is your first toy that you remember getting, man?
You're talking about maybe action figures of the particular cartoon? Because, as little kids, parents are always buying us toys. But
what was your favorite toy that you could remember, like the first thing? Because, I don't know, like me, I always used to have this toy Grimlock, from Transformers. And I carried that thing wherever I went, right? Like, it was like, it had to come with me no matter where I went. So did you have something like that you could remember your first love, I guess, of a toy?
If I have to really go back and just what I could remember is getting for Christmas, I got the Sergeant Slaughter in the tank. You know what I'm saying?
G.I. Joe?
The white tank. Yeah, the G.I. Joe and stuff like that. Man, I carry that tank everywhere. I freaking love Sergeant Slaughter. So that's pretty much the one I can remember because I know I had so many toys. But the one that, like you said, carried around is my thing and all that. And I had like you have a story with your Grimlock. I had a story with my tank. Like someone stole my tank.
Oh man.
I put it down to go get something to eat at a party, and someone just and I had Sergeant Slaughter with me, but I put the tank down, and I went, and the tank was gone. You know what I mean? And you know, once the stuff like that sold out, you can never find it. You know, I probably could have found it later on in my life, but I literally never saw it again. But that was the Sergeant Slaughter, man. I freaking love Sergeant Slaughter, especially the '86 movie when it came out. And you had the slaughterhouse and everything, and we don't leave unless everybody leave, like you said in the end of the movie and stuff like this. I freaking love, I love them. So
Yeah.
and then when I saw the wrestler, because I'm a huge wrestling fan, and I saw he was a heel, I was like, "What are you doing, Sarge? And where are your muscles? You know what I'm saying? What the hell?"
Yeah, that was a huge crossover at the time between because WrestleMania had just first started around there. He was a heel, and just to see those two worlds collide, it was amazing to me. Amazing.
I was like, I can't believe they found a guy that looked just like the cartoon. I didn't know that it was the other way around.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, and I think he's one of the older wrestlers that's still around too, isn't he?
I think he does stuff in some capacity. Yeah,
he does conventions and stuff like autographs and stuff like that. He's still around. He's always awesome. You know what I mean? I just, but that was a rude awakening for me to watch him on TV when he finally came to the WWE, because he was in the Indies and stuff like that, or territory at that time. And to him to go to the WWE and he was a heel and all that, and that broke my heart a little bit, but I will always remember that toy.
I don't want to do this to you, Herm, but coming soon, probably about next week, they're coming out with the Sergeant Slaughter tank with Sergeant Slaughter.
No!
That transforms into Cup from the Transformers.
He always says that because he's going to be the next person that takes it from you. He doesn't want to buy it himself.
I'm definitely not going to one of his parties with the tank.
So while
getting that.
While we're in the wrestling phase, so you've been a long-time fan. So I got to ask you, what is your favorite wrestling finishing move?
Man, there were so many good ones. If I had to pick one, I remember the Legion of Doom tag team, how awesome they were. Oh, what a rush and all this. Something simple like the Doomsday Device, where Adam had him over like that, and Hulk just clotheslined him. That was just, I couldn't wait to see that. You know what I mean? Like, everybody liked all these other wrestlers' moves and stuff. But as a kid, my first actual favorite was the Doomsday Device. I have those two figures right up there. I'm always going to love those guys. My all-time favorite tag team right there. Yeah, that'll be the answer.
Yeah, that's the one that popped up into my head too. And I didn't think they weren't my favorite tag team, but just to be able to get your boy and then, run that on some unsuspecting kid who just pops by is just one of my all-time favorites.
We used to do, like, I had my best friend and he was Hulk and I was Animal. Mm-hmm. And I used to put my cousins or my friends on my shoulder, and he used to do that to them, literally in a bed that someone threw out outside and stuff like that. And wrestle, because we were crazy ass kids, especially if you're in New York and you're out in the streets and you see a bed, you're like, yes, let's wrestle. You know what I'm saying?
And then you wonder why your head was always itchy afterwards.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, we didn't know about bed bugs or nothing like that. So it's a good thing it was back then, because now, can you imagine your mom back now with all the anxiety now? With
probably have to use that finishing move on the homeless guy. Yeah, you probably have to use that on the homeless guy, trying to use that. Keep that.
Yeah. Like my mom's probably watching. She's like, oh my God, now. I never told that story.
When you were a kid, you were practicing all the moves to see how good you could get them down.
Everything. I was the huge Legion of Doom, and then I became a huge Bret Hart fan. I was doing sharpshooters on people.
Those were the worst. Man. Those and the camel clutch.
I like the pile drivers.
I used to do the $1 Million Dream on people, you know, and I actually put someone to sleep by mistake. I was like, oh shit, my back, I killed him.
That thing was the elbow drop from Macho Man, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Nobody can seem to do that right though.
Dig it.
Dig it. Yeah,
I
we had a
saw
Macho
his,
Man
like that little interview he did when he's got the little cup of coffee.
I had a friend do that to me and actually chipped my bottom tooth with that move. And I was like bleeding and everything. They're like, "You okay?" "I'm fine. Let's keep going." I was like so determined to finish the match.
That's the thing. When you're a kid, man, you're indestructible. If you did that shit now, you'd be like laying in your bed.
Oh
for
my
the next
God!
week.
I need a week off from work. What are you talking about?
I see my little kids doing it. I see my little kids playing around, and I'm like, "Stop it! You're gonna hurt him."
Now, do we used to hit each other with whatever you could pick up, put in your hand? We were like hitting each other with. It didn't matter. We were just mean.
Yeah. Anything that makes
why
noise
you got these
too.
marks on your body? We were fighting with these things. Are you stupid? Maybe a little. Made it home.
Yeah.
That's back in the day too, when your parents had no idea where you were until you came back home.
Yeah. I mean, I had a curfew, but before the curfew, I could do whatever I want out there with my friends. So.
And we didn't. I mean, as a kid, you didn't think about it. You just went out and you were out all day. You went back home. You knew what time you had to be home, and you knew if you weren't home then, you were in the shit.
You only went home for lunchtime to get something to eat real quick and go grandma's house or whoever had food, especially during the summer. You know what I mean? You find the food. All the friends would take turns. You know what I mean? We'll go to your house today. No, we go. You know, that way, you know, we don't get in trouble all the time for going to the same house.
Yep.
And and that's how we did it. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Great question, man. That brought out stories I never told before.
I think everyone's got those wrestling ones, the stupid things you did with your friends, right? When you were watching as a kid.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the time to be out on 80s wrestling, man, was awesome too. Like I talk a lot about the 90s one. I remember you talking last week about the 80s one, and those were great, man.
I was going to ask you if you watched the wrestling cartoon that we were talking about.
Hulk Hogan and all of them. Like I didn't know half the people because I was still really young. Mm-hmm. All I knew was Hulk Hogan. I think Brutus was in it, or Big John Studd.
Hey, so Gary, as the old guys, do you remember it being on? I don't know if the channels were the same, but for us, it was like Channel 9, I think it was. That it used to come on Saturday night at like 11 o'clock at night.
It was Channel 3, wasn't it? Like it was like CBS. I mean,
you're not talking about Main Event, right?
No, because we had like the same like 3 channels as a kid. But for us here in New York, it was CBS was Channel 3, NBC was Channel 5, and then the other one was Channel 8.
See, for us, I think for Fable and Herm, our CBS was Channel 2, NBC Channel 4. Fox Channel 5, ABC 7, WWOR was Channel 9. I think this was what was on the wrestling, and then WPIX Channel 11, and then Channel 13 was Sesame Street.
Channel 13 was our PBS too.
Okay, so that was but this show, Vince was actually the commentator. And they used to have and I know
what you're talking about. The little.
It used to be an hour at Saturday nights from 11 to midnight, and they used to have crazy stuff like King Kong Bundy used to fight and I don't know if this is the politically correct term, but the little people.
Yeah, well, it was called where I was. It was called Friday Night Wrestling. I had to stay up to 11:30 to watch it. That's when this was started.
Like Tony Gurria, Tony Atlas. Back in those days. I'm old. Sorry.
I was pretty young for those guys.
From Canada. So where I was close enough to Canada that I got CBC, and that's what helped fuel my love of hockey. Watching the hockey games every Friday and Saturday night.
My
Because that
uncle
was like
got
one
me
of the
into
only
Rocky.
sports channels I could get in clear, and I was like, and then I was like, saw hockey. I'm like, what's this? Look at them beat the shit out of each other on the ice, and then you start learning the game, and then you fall in love with the game too, not just the fighting. But and back then too, those guys were tough. Like I saw people I saw Ken Danico take a slap shot to the face. You saw the teeth fly out live. He missed one shift, came out. He had him sew him up and numb him in between shifts, and then came back out, played the rest of the game. Like now, the guy would be in a stretcher, going to the hospital, an IV drip. Kenny Danico was right back out there. His next shift, and was playing.
Yeah.
But, Joe says he loved watching those wrestling shows in Channel 9. And in the 60s, it was Channel 5, Saturday afternoon. Bruno Sammartino. Yeah, I remember him. Bruno. Now, so talking about wrestling, who's your favorite announcing personality? Because we were talking about those with Biggie Shack. And my favorite guy was like Gene Okerlund. But I mean, that's a easy one. That's most people. But like you had a favorite manager or anything like that, like Captain Lou Albano or anything?
Man, Bobby the Brain Heenan was like, I have to say Bobby, man. He's just the best at it. Of course, as a kid, you go for the heroes. Most kids, like, unless you're a troublemaker and you like going for the other guys, the bad guys. But I was the goody that went for the good guys all the time. So I couldn't stand Bobby the Brain Heenan. I hated him. He used to talk crap about Hulk Hogan all the time. And it's like, leave him alone. He's our hero. You know what I mean? Hulk Hogan was technically my first real superhero.
So you were the first. You were the first leave Britney alone guy, but with Hulk Hogan. Leave Hulk Hogan alone.
Yeah. And I'll be making fun of in school and everything. You know what I mean?
So then it had to be Jimmy Hart for you.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy Hart, like, he was a bad guy when Hulk Hogan, like that. Jimmy Hart was a little bit after he was managing Hulk Hogan when he went to WCW and stuff. But I pretty much, like, Jimmy Hart had eventually the Hart Foundation. I think he ended up managing them too. But yeah, I couldn't stand Jimmy Hart neither. None of the managers, I can't stand them.
Yeah,
Jimmy Hart. The
Honky Tonk Man he was with.
The Honky Tonk. There you go. Greg the Hammer Valentine. They had the Honky Love video going on live and stuff like. Oh, I hated all that. You know what I mean?
And the tag teams are always crazy, right? Because you were just always waiting for the cheating when everyone would go in there and beat up on one guy.
Oh,
and then the one good guy would act like he couldn't possibly go in there and break the rules while it was putting
I was a sucker for all that because I used to watch it with my grandma too. Rest in peace, Grandma. I loved her so much. And she would just get in it. And when the referee wouldn't watch what the bad guys were cheating, oh my gosh, she would yell at it. Está chiriando, ese referee no sirve para nada,
He's not supposed to watch. It's part of the show.
And I'd be like, and she'd be like tapping me like, mira que está haciendo, look what he's doing. And I'd be like, Grandma, I'm trying to watch. I can see. Yo puedo ver. You know what I mean? So, but if I had to pick, Bobby the Brain Heenan was the best, man. He was just on the mic. He knew how to piss you off, man. He knew how to, him and Gorilla Monsoon together. Oh, and
so he was your favorite baddie, huh?
Yeah, he was my favorite baddie from back in the day, man. And Jesse Bonaventura gets the second nod. Jesse. He used to be a complete asshole too. Excuse my language.
Well, and him and Hulk Hogan still don't like each other.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah.
I mean, he just did an interview that DJ Links talked about, and I went and watched it. And he still got bad blood for Hulk Hogan.
Also, Jesse the Body was trying to get like a wrestling kind of unionized or something like that with a union or agents and stuff like that. He was the first one actually to try to do all that for the wrestlers because the wrestlers never had a say. The promotions, all those guys will always, have all the power and stuff like that.
Right.
And Hulk Hogan, I loved him as a kid, but he was with the, Vince McMahon, whoever was in charge. He was the goody guy for them. The owner's pet shut that down quick. You know what I mean? He helped shut that down.
I don't know if they do it today, but like how they would like really hurt each other for entertainment, right? Like like the Roddy interview when he broke a real bottle on his head and he was just like bleeding from his skull the whole interview and it's just like running down his face and he's talking.
Mm-hmm.
Like now they wouldn't cut each other for real. I don't think. You know, like they
Nah,
used
they
to have
use
the razor blades in
blades
and
yeah.
nick themselves in the forehead and shit. And
Now they have a little more control now. I mean, every once in a while, if it warrants it, they have a cage match that you see blood, but it's
I
not
still don't
on purpose.
understand
It's on
the
purpose.
fluorescent light bulbs thing. How that's a thing. That's just weird to me. Like, you
Not
know,
your wrestling.
how did that happen?
It's from the backyard guys who started that kind of thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
It makes a loud noise, you know. It's
Yeah.
glass.
It's just I couldn't even use those things, man. Anything could go wrong with those things. You know what I mean?
For sure.
You could get in your eye, scratch it. You know what I mean?
You know, that's like that grainy, like because that glass is nasty. It's all grainy and it just sticks in your skin.
Yeah. I mean, they use a lot of stuff that's made for wrestling, so like that's the illusion of it too. You know, they don't use the real stuff because there's no way. I mean, you ever seen a fluorescent light bulb? You know, crack open? Oh, no way.
And that gas is nasty in them.
Oh my God, it's terrible. It smells horrible. You know what I mean? But yeah. But yeah, man, I just love it. You know, Gorilla Monsoon, man, he was my hero too. You know what I mean? You know, arguing with Bobby the Brain Heenan and then Jesse on the pay-per-views and stuff like that. It's just, man, it's nothing better than that.
No,
you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I thought Vince McMahon was pretty good too at that time. You know, doing his thing too. I gotta give him props. But yeah, that's my era right there when it comes to growing up and stuff like that. And it worked. All that worked. If they use that stuff today, some people do. It still works. You know what I mean? Like bad guy versus good guy still works. So
and he's talking about Roddy Piper, who is my favorite bad guy.
Yeah,
well, and I talked about this on so many streams, like how like the people that played the bad guys are actually like the nicest people in real life. And I always talk about the movie They Live that Roddy did with John Carpenter. And like one of the things that John Carpenter and Roddy Piper did, like all the homeless people you see that are it played in the movie are played by real homeless people, and they only gave them the jobs and they kept them fed and warm and gave them shelter during all that filming or trying to take care of them. But they paid them and they made sure that, you know, just nice things like that. And it's something that they would do on sets. You know, just wherever they are, they would try to take care of some of the homeless population, which you know,
one of the worst bad guys. Well, one of my favorite heels was $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and he's a minister.
$1 Million Man. I remember, like, who was it? RVD when he was young. He paid him to like dribble the ball, and he messed up his dribble, and didn't give him the money. I couldn't stand him neither. All those guys, man, that all worked, man. Especially when you were a kid.
For sure.
It worked.
Now, how'd you get suckered into comics?
Man, that's a great question. So, obviously, like, if I Spider-Man and Batman, I always gravitate towards those two characters. That's why they're my two all-time favorite characters of anything. But what's funny is I always watch my cousin with his G.I. Joe and Transformer comics. You know what I mean? I always tell my mom, me gusta eso libro. You know what I mean? I love the comics, and, you know, stuff like that. And I would tell one day my mom, someone gifted her a bag of 70 to 100 comics. You know what I mean? That they heard that I like to read, and they were cleaning or whatever. You know what I mean? Back in the day.
Right.
And one day she said, I have a surprise for you. And when I looked over to the bag, there was like all these comics, and I was just like awed. You know what I mean? Because it's the first time it was like, oh, it's for me. You know what I mean? Because I always touch my cousin's comics, but I never had any. And then I was so happy. And then, of course, I pulled out the Amazing Spider-Man issue that I showed last week with Stegron and the Lizard, the Spider-Man, that Christmas issue, Bobby would say, which it was. And I fell in love, man. I started reading it, and I couldn't believe like how that you saw that cover, and you're like, how the hell is Spider-Man's gonna get out of this? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I kept pulling and pulling. Of course, a team up Spider-Man came out, and then you had the ROM issues in
Oh,
there
yeah.
that I told you about last time. You know what I mean? And a whole bunch of comics in there. Like there was stuff that I'd never seen before. Like ROM, I never seen until I picked up that bag. Looks like whoever was reading it was into ROM. There was like 30 of them in there or something.
Yeah, Rom is a great series. The whole series written by one dude, Bill Mantlo.
Oh yeah, of course, Conan the Barbarian. There was some of those in there. You know what I mean? And the list goes on. Of course, some Avengers comics were in there, which eventually end up being like big spec books in the future. Who knew?
Right.
You know what I mean? But I think like the first Nebula issue with the Avenger, with the big Titan and all that, that was in there. You know, and all that. Yeah. So comics. My love for comics was born that day, and throughout my life, I was in and out of comics for different reasons, but I always gravitated towards back into comics, and that's what started it right there. Like I got a long story with comics, but that's pretty much what started it, man.
Yeah, I think it's true, right? Like there's certain periods of your life where you're away from them, but they always draw you back in over and over and over again.
Always. And it's the gift they kept giving me too. Like my mom, like always wanted me to read, and that was the only way she could get me to read, is to read comics, and that would help me. She would see my reading go from really bad, the grades, to the end of the year that will improve. So I was reading these comics.
She could have gave you some Playboys for the articles.
I heard the articles were really good on those, so it would have helped too.
Little Hermie's been in there reading all day.
Yeah, they never really give me any Playboys, but they will always give me comic books. Like there was some people who give me video games. When they were done with it, that they weren't collecting. These are people casual who buy and then know that that know my mom and know she had a kid. Oh, give this to your kid. So I got pretty lucky with that, you know.
I had like similar, because like when I was young, my dad brought home a big box of comics, you know, and in that box was some Savage Swords, some regular Conans, some Brave and the Bold Batman, which is why that still to this day that blue and gray with the yellow emblem is still my favorite costume. I love the Brave and the Bold, plus the Marvel team ups and the Spider-Mans, but like that stuff. And then I got my hands on a few Sherlock Holmes books, and I had a friend of my parents who gave me this huge collection that had all the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle Sherlock Holmes stories, and I just devoured that. Like she got that back in mint shape. I'm like little kid Pinky. You'll get it just like this. There'll be no marks on. And so when I read that book, I wasn't even opening it all the way. I was just like cracking it and reading it and just having like the best time. But I was like enthralled with that stuff. But it was all about the people were giving my parents stuff, and I was just like a kid in Wonderland. Every time you got like a new box of comics or something, you were lost and just burying yourself in it.
It's just that's why that never lose that feeling that I never lose it. Like every time I go to I have a bad week and I had a bad day at work today. I went to my comic shop, got my books, and I was happy again. Like that day I opened the bag, and saw them comics, man. It just brings me so much joy. That's why comics will always be in my heart. You know what I mean? After all the stuff that we love and stuff like that, comics are still there too. Will never go away. With all the horror stories I have with the comics too, going on and off throughout my life, you know what I mean? I still stick by it because my original collection is gone. It was stolen.
Right. Mine is too. Mine's. You remember those with some fondness because, man, there was a lot of money in that. But you remember it like that. But you also read the shit out of them, so they probably weren't worth as much as you remember.
They weren't. Probably 2.5s if you really, if you're lucky.
I was reading mine on the floor, legs kicked up behind me, flipping through.
Put in your pocket, back pocket.
Eating some shit while I'm reading them,
If they were 5, they were definitely 2s after I was done with them.
I mean, but the well-loved ones are great, right? It's just there's like story to them. There's history with them.
I mean, there's like you have story. I went after they were stolen from me in like 2008, where they were stolen from me because that was later on. I still went back and bought most of those issues because I remember going into a grocery store or pharmacy when they still had them on racks and actually buying them off the racks. I was lucky to be in that era to still be able to do that because you got to go to comic shop now. You can't really,
Right.
So
this is a question I just thought of because this was a big moment for me, and it wasn't even a really it wasn't an expensive issue, but I remember all your stuff's gone, right? You grow up, but then when you get back into comics, you have that one that always kicks off the nostalgia for you again, right? And I remember one you had, and then when you get it back, and then when you crack it open, you reread it, and you still get the same feels, except it's even more. So like Conan 100, The Death of Belit. But when I saw, and that's like an $8 to $10 book. It's nothing that's expensive. It's still one of my most treasured books. Do you have a book like that? Like when you got back into collecting, you went and got this book that was like from your childhood?
Man, that book was Amazing Spider-Man. Was it Amazing Spider-Man 261? I mean, I think I got the number right with the first full appearance of Carnage. You know what I mean? That was the book I had when I picked up in the pharmacy, and then it had Venom, which I loved Venom. You know what I mean? And he was like an anti-hero by then, but he was still trying to kill Spider-Man and stuff like that. And that three-part series where you see him in the front, the face of Carnage, and then you see the second one, the third one.
Mm-hmm.
That pretty much was like that was what the first book I went out of all the books. When I lost my collection, when I went because I actually went into Midtown Comics because I didn't know about Midtown I knew about Midtown, but going online and getting comics, that's how I knew about it, and I found it, and that's the first book that popped up. And back then, 2008, it wasn't a spec book like that. So I got a decent copy for like $5. You can't get it for $5 anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. So from there on, I started getting all the Bagley issues, all the Larsons you were just talking about earlier. Of course, I love Todd McFarlane, so I got most of his books. So that's how I started collecting again. And then, of course, I started with Spider-Man first because those were cheaper than Batman. Because I tried to find some of my old school Batman. They were still a little expensive. It was $7, $10 at the time,
Especially if you collected Spectacular and Web. Those were so underrated, and there was great stories in both of those series.
I got those for $1.50 here. Yeah. They've gone up, but I was able to achieve a lot of it.
And I'm with Nick. I think I like the Eric Larson era better because I think there was some better stories written by Randy Emberlin then during that era, and I really liked his stylistic approach. Like he had just as much style as McFarlane. It was just different, and you couldn't just have like a plain Jane come in after McFarlane and just draw Spider-Man flat again. You needed somebody else with their own vision.
I agree. I agree. I loved all that. That was the heart of my collecting still was those issues, those Larson issues and stuff like that. It's just when I first started buying comics, Todd McFarlane was the man at the time on Spider-Man. He had the trading cards and all that, and I freaking fell in love with Todd McFarlane. You know what I mean? So, but as a kid, you don't know too much. At least I didn't. Artist, writer. You just thought they did everything. You know what I mean? It's just like and into those trading cards came out and they opened my eyes to there's different artists. Okay. You know what I mean? Because everything I thought was Stan Lee did everything, you know what I mean? He was everywhere.
He's the best. He did it all.
Right? So me, it was Stan Lee and Roy Thomas, right? I just thought Roy Thomas was writing just about everything.
So collecting for a long time, has there ever been, or is there still something that you've always wanted that you never got? Something that's always eluded you?
So I just got the ASM 300 a couple of years ago as a gift. That was one of them because it was in my collection. And even when I started collecting again, it was expensive to get one of those. But if there's one issue that I haven't gotten yet, there probably is one. I just can't think of one right now. So I guess I mostly got all the ones as a childhood.
Nice.
But there is one somewhere. Maybe as we move along, maybe I'll think of it and I'll tell you. That's a great question.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah. As a collector, you always have the next one you're chasing, right?
yeah, yeah. That's always. I would never get Amazing Fantasy 15, so that's out of the question. You know, that's I got the facsimile. That's the best I'm gonna do with that. But realistically, like I think I've got the only one that I haven't got yet that I would love to get is keep forgetting the issue number, but the Todd McFarlane. There's two of them with Todd McFarlane. The Batman one that he did,
423.
that one. I still wasn't able to find that. I mean, you can find it now, but they're expensive. You know what I mean? At the time, they still couldn't find it for a good price. And the Todd McFarlane, the Conan one that he did. Those are the two ones I had in my original collection that I have not gotten that I can remember. You know, because my collection was pretty decent amount. I've got most of it back, but you're not going to remember 100%.
Right.
But those two are the only books that I still haven't gotten in my collection that
and
my
that
childhood.
McFarlane one for Conan, it also has a Mark Jewelers variant.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't even know that. You know, I knew I seen it in there because Mark Jewelers. Everybody started talking about that. I was like, oh, that sounds familiar. I had a lot of those Mark Jeweler books. Believe it or not, I didn't know where they came from.
Yeah,
but I did have a lot of them.
I had a bunch of them. I didn't even realize that was a thing.
When you flip it, you were like, "What is this?" You know what I mean? I want more comics. What is this?
Well, it is, right? I think some of these things became things after COVID, and then people are looking for different ways to influence the collecting, right? Because at the end of the day, it's just an ad. Who gives a shit?
I think I used to hate them. Like, why do they keep putting this stupid thing
too,
in the middle of the damn book, right in the middle of the
I don't want to look at rings.
Exactly. That's exactly
what I hated the little newsstand barcode in the corner. I was like, oh, who wants that?
Yeah.
Especially when during the McFarlane era, when he'd do like the little sketches in the corner. I used to love those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I used to trade away a lot of my newsstands for the Spider-Man or the Hulk or whoever was in the bottom. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't stand the newsstands.
Now,
I didn't know I was giving away treasure.
Ever a story in comics that broke your heart? Where you're like, they did them wrong. Why would they do that to my hero?
All the time.
You know, like Spider-Man in the Clone Saga.
I didn't know that was gonna come up.
Well, yeah, you know, the only thing I could think of, because like I let a lot of things slide, but the thing that bothers all of Spider-Man, obviously, is the marriage between Peter Parker and MJ.
Yes, never.
You know what I mean?
Just don't break them up ever, okay?
It's just like, why? Because they really, why? Because grown men can't tell stories about being married and stuff like that, and they don't understand it. Or
well,
something like
I think it's weird too that every writer, you know, to shake Spider-Man up, you always break him in it. All right, so you're just doing the same thing like 8 people before you did. Just stop. Really come up with something new.
How about have them succeed? You know what I mean?
And not only that, but you need something that's positive in Peter's life. That was always MJ. No matter what happened to him when he was a hero, no matter how bad a day he had or how big the L was he took, he had MJ to go home to.
Yeah.
She was in his corner. She had his back. And, you know, no matter what happened to Spider-Man, he had MJ. And that was I thought that was really something that shouldn't be messed with.
I agree. Can you imagine being a Spider-Man fan? You take one of those small breaks, a year and a half, or something like that. They're married, and then you come back after Brand New Day, you know, after the whole next day and stuff, and you're like, what? They're not married? What's going on?
I'm like, you're just gonna make it like they were never together. I'm like, that's just that infuriated me as a Spider-Man reader through most of my life, because I read Spider-Man for like 30 plus years, and I was like, what? They just don't it never happened. No, I can't. I couldn't even wrap my mind around it. I was so mad. I'm like, I'm never reading it. Still haven't.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. And you know what's funny? Everybody talks about the expensive one, how horrible it was, and stuff like that. He was trying to bring that back. He was trying. It took mad long,
right?
But towards the end, they kicked him out of the book because he wanted to bring that back. That was his mission, to bring, like, a lot of the wrongs that was done. He was trying to slowly, quietly bring that back, and they were like, nope, kicked them out of the book. And, oh, they're not together again, you know. And they separated them. The wells run, you know. All of a sudden, Peter Parker did something again, and they're not together. And then she's off to another dimension. Now she's 4 years older, and she's got a guy now. Sorry, it took too long to get me.
Everybody's just waiting for Paul to die in some horrible way.
God damn it, Paul! I can't stand that dude. Yeah, Eric always messes with me with that. But yeah, it's just when me and my Primetime Tom do the show, like that's the, you know, just like Voldemort, you can't say that name. You can't say that name. You know? Right. You can't say the P word. Don't say it. Don't say it. He who shall not be named. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it right there. That's pretty much the one thing out of all comics that I can't stand. And they try to do it like what's his name? Rob Conway? Jerry Conway. He Renew Your Vows. If anybody read that series, what he was doing it, beautiful. You know what I mean? I don't know if anybody read it.
I did.
But if you haven't, what happened? Did you?
I did.
No, I never read it.
Pick up the ones he wrote. Beautiful. MJ and they have a family.
Yeah.
You know, a little. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And then they interfere with that, and then he left the comic because of it. So it's cursed now. You know, like, even when you get the side with MJ, you know what I mean?
Right.
They always mess it up. That's why, like, I'm excited about the Spider-Man with Hickman, the Ultimate Spider-Man run with the whole MJ thing. I love the whole thing they're doing with that. But I'm like, oh, they're gonna pull the rug somewhere. You know what I mean? That's just
yeah, they're gonna.
My nightmare.
I mean, somebody asked me the other day what I liked about it, and I said because it seems a little. I mean, it seems fresh and new to me in the way that they're together, and he wasn't Spider-Man. Like he's learning to be Spider-Man, and he's not a kid. I like that. I often ask this question, and I'd like your opinion on it. Do you think they should age up Spider-Man? Just go ahead and age him up.
I think he should stay an adult.
I mean, like,
you're talking about the current series, like the Zeb Wells run.
Yeah,
I don't think they should age him up. I mean, maybe a little bit, you know what I mean, but not like let him learn from his lessons.
Right.
Every time he turn around, like he does the same thing he did like couple of past series ago. Like, he didn't learn his lesson from that. He's a pretty smart guy. You know what I mean?
Right? That's what I always said. I'm like, he's supposed to be like, you know, a genius level type person.
And
not genius, but
how is he still broke?
How's he broke?
Genius. He'll find a way.
Well, he was rich for a little bit. Didn't he have a little money? With, you know,
billionaire. He was a billionaire for a little while.
He was a millionaire, like
MJ,
Tony Stark.
they took his money away.
Yeah.
Same thing.
And you got a perfectly fine young Spider-Man with Miles Morales. You don't need Peter Parker to fill that role anymore.
But that's my point that I brought up on another discussion is that, you know, if you go and you talk to someone that's 10, and say, who's your Spider-Man? They're going to say Miles. They're not going to know who Peter is. Peter is our Spider-Man.
Let's sop him up a little and educate him.
Yeah. It's not Miles, it's Peter. Wake up.
Yeah, I mean the movies had a lot to do with that too, like the animated movies with Miles. So that's the perfect opportunity to, I agree, to have Miles take over the growing up, you know, coming of age type Spider-Man, and let Peter Parker grow up. Yeah, I agree with that. Not really
think they don't do it. I think they don't do it because they know if they do, Sony is going to get the rights to do that story, not MCU. I think that's the whole reason why they're keeping that the way it is. Because
that's
the video
game, Fable.
The video games, they've done it. The cartoon, they've done it, but in the MCU, they haven't. And because can you imagine a solo live action Miles Morales movie? I mean, that would print money.
Right.
Oh, it definitely would.
Yeah, well, you got to figure too. The current Peter in that thing is pretty much Miles's age now, anyway.
Right.
So
And that's the thing too.
yeah.
Like we need an adult Peter Parker Spider-Man movie.
yeah, they're gonna
We've
ride
had, what,
Holland out.
three different series of him going out of high school into college.
They're gonna run Holland out, and I think when Holland is done, that's when they introduce Miles.
He's already said that he doesn't want to. I mean, he's been on numerous talk shows saying that, I don't plan to do this much longer.
Yeah, RDJ said the same thing, but they throw 85 million his way, and then
And Jim, that's just the game you play to get the studio to pay you more.
till he's
I
90
understand
years
that.
old.
I understand that, but I don't know. I mean, it's a big difference in age between where he is and where RDJ was when he took the Iron Man role. Okay, this guy's young. He's like, I want to do other things. I want to, as an actor, be other things. RDJ had already lived his life. He was on the backside of his acting.
He lived 3 lives in that time.
Extending 3 lives. So I
He
mean,
did all the living.
and he was, this he was smart enough to realize this was my rebound right here. This Iron Man rebounded his career. I don't care what anybody says. It definitely, I don't know rebound, but reinvigorated is a better word.
For sure.
Reinvigorated.
No, it made him an A-lister.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I
If he
hate
was
using
always-
that. I
he was-
hate using that
He
word.
could have been an A-lister before, but his, every time he did anything decent, there was always controversy after with a life choice. But like you thought he was gonna break it big when he did the Chaplin movie. That was gonna be he was gonna be the A-lister after it.
Yeah.
But I was happy to see him become the A-lister because I grew up watching Robert Downey Jr. movies and I always liked his acting.
Yeah.
I always thought he was really good.
So I don't know. I have this. I love to listen to everybody's theories on what you think is going to happen. I agree with Fable. Money is definitely a factor and who has the rights. But at some point, somebody's going to go uncle, and they're going to say, we got to bring in Miles.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna eventually do that. They still have time because they have old guys like us, you know what I mean, that still love Peter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I'm with
but
you.
the
on
younger
that.
generation's gonna want that Miles movie. So that's one thing I agree with Fable when he's always talking about the Miles movie like that, because these young kids are gonna want because of the animated series, how great that thing did.
Right.
You know what I mean? All those kids are gonna grow up to be, adults. Right. They're gonna demand it. You know what I mean? So
I want the generational movie, right? When you got adult Peter and Miles Morales in the same movie together, and that's part of what works so great. And I think Nick will agree with the video games, right?
Yeah.
You got the Peter Parker Miles Morales mentorship and friendship there, and
it works
so awesome.
Right, it works everywhere except for live action.
Yeah.
Because animation, that chemistry is great too in animation.
I mean, can you imagine Spider-Man and Miles Morales Spider-Man in live action going into a fight together and quipping and just rebounding off each other, beating up guys and just having a blast?
They have the technology now. They can do it now. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not saying this, so don't take it from me, but maybe don't go see that Venom movie. Wink, wink. Because if that makes another $1 billion, you can forget about the Miles movie.
Those Venom movies have been so bad too, and I don't even crap on movies, but man, those are rough.
Terrible.
I didn't even see the second one.
Yeah, you go see them. You go see them. I hate them. I know I'm going to go in hating it. I'm still know that I'm going to go see the third one.
I've seen them too, and I they're bad, but I still enjoyed them. That's pretty much
that too. Like I enjoyed Morbius, even though most people hated it.
I like Morbius. I couldn't finish Madam Web though, Gary.
That was bad. It was. Yeah.
Oh, I finished Madam Web.
I couldn't do it.
There's a couple good reasons to watch that movie.
What the?
Pshaw.
Nick knows what I'm talking about.
No comment.
Well, over the course of Nick and I's friendship, we've discovered that we have very similar tastes sometimes.
We do. In comic books, we got very similar tastes in comic books.
Yeah.
So you're saying, Faber, you're saying I shouldn't go see the third movie? So
I mean, I didn't say
no,
that.
he's saying you shouldn't pay to see it. Sneak in.
But you know what? They got me too, fellas, because they announced Null in that movie, and I love Null. So I'm like, God damn
Uh-oh.
it.
See, that did nothing for me because I don't care about Null at all. So when they announced it, I'm like, oh, all right.
Get ready for them to ruin
me
it.
at all.
Get ready for them to ruin them.
I know. Did you see that meme where they showed all the Spider-Man villains like Carnage and everybody, and it's like the Grim Reaper's killing everybody and Null's next?
Yeah.
I did not. I'll have to look for it.
I have not, but I want to see that too. Yeah.
Who do you cast, Fable? Who do you cast?
For who? Null?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Walking Dead guy is not a bad choice.
Norman Reedus?
Norman Reedus. I don't think he's a bad choice at all. He's lanky. He's got a skeletal face. I could imagine some prosthetics on there. He could look really badass.
He's in one of my favorite movies too,
Yeah.
Boondock Saints.
Yeah.
Man, I love Boondock Saints. So good. I even enjoyed the second one. Not as good as the first, but that first one is amazing.
Classic.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Norman Reedus would be good. I'm a huge Walking Dead fan, so big fan of his, and I think he would be great with that. Definitely, if they do it right, like you guys say, you know.
They won't. They won't.
It's Sony, so
they won't.
Now we're getting to the hour 10 mark. I do have to wrap it up soon and go to work. But let's start asking some final questions. So I'll do my final one. And Nick's always got one he likes to ask. My final one is, though, if you could have your death scene in any comic, whose comic are you dying in? Who's writing your death scene and who's drawing it? And who's killing you?
So, is that all time? Could be current writers or
it could be any time.
Okay. Cool. So I'm gonna try to go a little more modern. If I'm gonna have a death scene, since I enjoy her work so much these days, Kelly Thompson could be my writer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's fantastic, dude. I haven't read anything from her I haven't enjoyed.
I freaking love. I just whenever I read one of her comics, I'm in full joy, and I guess that's one of my favorite writers now. You know what I mean? If I could keep whatever series she does, I enjoy it. So I love her Hawkeye run. I loved her Jessica Jones that was in digital
Captain
first.
Marvel one was great, all 50 issues.
Yeah. Herm, oh my God, she did 50 issues. Like I don't think anybody ever did 50 issues of like a run like that of her. So
Yeah, Bill Mantlo, Roy Thomas, Stanley, a couple of
and going with the team, if I had someone draw me in a death and stuff like that, Elena Casagrande, let her draw me like that, man. You know what I mean? That's two teams that I like right there. That's a team right there that I really love right now.
Draw you like one of her little French girls.
I just know they have great comedy when those two get together,
right?
And they'll think of something cool way for me to die. So if I'm gonna die in a comic, let those two be in charge. You know what I mean? Whatever the comic is, you know what I mean? It could be like
that's
whatever
the Black
they want.
Widow team, man.
Right there you go. Yeah,
and that
I enjoy that
one
series
was good too.
Yep.
Yeah,
so good.
So let them do my death scene, you know.
All right. So Herm, I'm going to mix it up because again, what I usually ask was kind of what Gary asked, but I'm going to give you a choice of. I was going to say 4, but we'll go 3. All right. Which one would you choose? Which situation would you choose to be in? 4th and 1 tie game from the 3-yard line for the Super Bowl in a gangrene uniform. Down 2 at the Garden versus Philly in the Eastern Conference Finals, or bottom of the 9th at the stadium
for
the
ALCS versus the Red Sox.
Oh my,
that's tough, man.
I would throw the Rangers in there too, but
I thought he was your friend.
I love my Rangers, but
which situation would you want to hit the shot in? Which one would you pick?
It's hard because we already seen the Yankees win a championship. I've seen them win 5. I haven't seen the Jets or the Knicks win one. So the Yankees are. If I have to choose between the three teams, I probably choose the baseball is my first love between the sports. You know what I'm saying? But talk about a situation, for the win. You talking about modern or all time? Because if it's modern,
I'm talking about you as a player in that situation. Which one do you want to hit?
Man, if I really had watching the Knicks this year, how they did it and all that, if I would love to hit that 3-pointer, win the NBA final. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, I don't think there's any more joy in that. You know, that Garden crowd exploding? You know what I'm saying?
Well, what kind of a celebration do you do? Are you the guy that hits it and it jumps up and it's pumping and getting the crowd going? Or are you the guy that hits it and you're stone cold and you just like a walk away, like, yeah, I knew it was going in, and you just do the cool walk off?
Yeah.
I think if I was a hot shot, one of those hot shot players, I'd probably do that. Yeah, that's right. I was gonna do that.
Right.
But if you talk about me, the fan, I'll be crying. I'll be crying. I think if they win a championship and Jalen Brunson's hitting that 3 in the finals, I would cry. I think a grown man cry. This one right here will cry. Like not that I won't cry for a Jets Super Bowl, but I just think like when it comes to all those situations, hitting a home run in Yankee Stadium, like amazing. You know what I mean? I can't even imagine what's winning the game-winning touchdown. But I don't think anything would beat that Garden. You know what I mean?
Right?
Yeah,
Erupting.
SG. Yep.
And I keep telling people, out of all those sports teams that we have here, because it's a sports town, one of the biggest sports towns in the States, you know, New York's one of them, the Knicks would be own all the teams. You know what I mean? If the Knicks will win the championship, they'll own this city. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say that because I'm a little bit of a bigger Yankee fan, but the Knicks, they will own this city. Like, because you have Met fans, Yankee fans that are Knicks fans.
Yeah.
You have Giant
crossover.
fans, Jet fans, Net fans. None of them are Brooklyn Net fans. I'm sorry, Net fans. There's no history there.
This is the truth.
There's no history there. And I don't mean to bash them because I'm from Brooklyn, but there's no history. And then, of course, the hockey fans that are fans of the Knicks gravitate towards the Knicks too. So they own this town. If they win that one championship, the whole Manhattan, the entire Manhattan would be a parade. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
right.
I hope that's a good enough answer. I know I took a little long.
It would shake all of New York State. You'd feel it.
Yeah.
Fable, you got a final question for him?
I know you got to get out of here, Gary. I know you got to get out of here. Why YouTube?
What?
Why YouTube?
Why YouTube?
Yeah. Why did you do this? What made you want to get into this whole being some sort of comic book content creator?
Well, it had a lot to do with my wife. My wife thought I had the personality to be on YouTube. She was the first one. She was telling me for years. She said, if you would have listened to me, you'd probably be one of the big guys or something like that, or close to it. You know what I mean? Maybe 20K or something like that. That's what she would tell me. Because she would always tell me, you have the personality for it. Like, because I will always talk to her like I talk to you guys. And she loves me and all that, but she wants me to shut the hell up. You know what I mean? So,
she's trying to get you to look after somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So who better
have her own channel too?
Nah.
You just keep doing that. You just keep doing that, Herm, because I'm going to tell you, man, it pays off because my wife now is a standard operating procedure. If we go somewhere, she looks up comic book shops in the area before I do.
Yeah,
bro.
Yeah.
You got to imprint them with that
way.
shit.
Yeah. So she's my first supporter when it comes to the YouTube. And finally, the pandemic happened and all that, and looking at Robbie, pop culture philosopher, he's a big influence on a lot of things that I do on here. When I found him, I found Bueller, but even Comic Tom, a lot of people hate towards Comic Tom, but all those guys all together, really got me get into the chats, meeting people like freaking Fable. Like,
Right.
I thank the good Lord all the time that I was able to meet this man because he's one of my brothers now, literally one of my brothers. So I'm getting a little emotional, but that's pretty much why.
I got a show at 9, Herm. I can't cry right now.
And Jim, what's your final question? And I'm gonna just go tell my kid to get ready real quick because I have to go.
I'm sorry,
Right,
man. Go long, man.
I'm gonna make it real quick. Pick one book currently running in Marvel that you absolutely think you could turn around. What would it be? Like, it's not doing well. It's not doing well. Nobody's buying it, but you got a story. And who would your artist be? You're gonna write it. What would the book be, and who would you be your artist for it?
Man, that's a good question.
I mean, you walk by that book and you're going, man, I can't read that. That's just terrible. It's not doing anything new.
If I had a character.
Yeah, you can pick a character. Say you want to bring one out that they haven't done a book on in a while. That ain't even better. Let's do it that way. Not something that's currently there. Pick your character. Polka Dot Man. You want Polka Dot Man bring his own 4-set series? Do it.
Oh man, that's such a good question. I can't even find someone right now to really. You said Marvel? Just Marvel?
You can do Marvel or DC. I'm not. I collect both. I didn't know if you were strictly Marvel. So.
I don't think I have a character. Really, I can't even think right now. If I had a character that man, you got a good one on me, man. I can't even. I'm looking around. It's like, who the hell would I want to see as a character? I like to see Spider-Girl. There you go. I like to see her back.
Yeah.
Mayday
Parker. Yeah, absolutely.
Mayday Parker. There you go. I like to see her. And if someone to draw it, I'm gonna say a different name. How about Greg Capullo? Join me. Spider-Girl.
That would be interesting.
I'll take him. You know what I mean?
That would be a good, interesting look.
I love me Mayday Parker, so I would love to see her back. And there's a nice series just for her, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
There you go.
We lost Gary.
No, Gary. Yeah, I took too long. Sorry, Gary.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to apologize for not being here on time. First of all, usually this is at 8, and I didn't even notice that it was at 7. But on top of that, I've been on the phone with my sister because everybody's got COVID down there in Virginia, and my mother's in the hospital.
Sorry to hear that,
so I was trying to see where they were doing with getting her in a room, which takes like literally 8 to 10 hours to do. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm sorry I'm late. That was just.
It's all good, man.
Hey, better late than never. At least we got to hang out with you some, Jim.
Yeah, I was like, man.
Best wishes to all of them, man.
Ugh.
Yeah. So, well, you made it though. Thanks for making it anyway. You still made it, so.
Well, I just wanted to get that out there. I'm not normally a tardy person. That's my pet peeve.
I just figured you didn't notice the time on the thumbnail.
Well, I didn't at first, but then when I did, I was like trying to get off the phone with my sister. I was like, look, is she going to be in a room in this century or not? I got to go. I'm missing the stream. So,
No, but Herm, thank you, man. So much fun.
Fun, man. That was just a lot of fun, man. Thanks for having me, man. Twice. You put up with me twice, so
we'll have you back more.
All right, man. I would love to do more shows.
But Fable, thank you for co-hosting tonight.
Always,
Nick. Always great having you on, buddy. Nick's one of the original suspects, so
more places than one.
Right? Yes, exactly. And of course, Jim, thank you so much, buddy. It was great seeing you. Better late than never, buddy. I expect you to pop in at some point, so I wasn't surprised.
Thank you.
I hope I gave good answers, man. Y'all had some great questions.
There's no bad answers. It's just about learning about you.
Yeah, this is about you. It can't be a bad answer.
Right.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
But no, so much fun, and we'll have to think of something. We'll get something else going. Plus, we have to have you back to co-host on the 24th when Fable does his toy one.
Oh yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there.
Because Fable's doing his toy 10-1-1 on the 24th, so we'll have you back for that if you're available.
Nice.
I'm gonna make myself. Sorry, babe, I can't make it. I can't make it. Sorry.
Right? What I tell you? Guys, thank you all so much. I know I'm cutting it short. I do have to get to work. I gotta go drop my kid off. It's a weird. This is gonna be a weird night for me. This is gonna be the first Thursday in like 3 years where I don't spend it with my kid. So it's gonna be odd for me. But so I'm still thinking about if I'm really gonna stay with this job or not, or what I'm gonna do in the future. So I'm thinking that through. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I get the resume done. I got feelers out, and hopefully I can find something that still allows me the time I want with my kid.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, man.
Absolutely.
But gentlemen, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Everyone in the crowd tonight, thank you guys for being here. And if you're catching it on the rewind, I already know you had a good time, but thank you for watching. We appreciate it. And until next time, you know how we like to end it. Keep it casual.